When you have emotional authority, it's way more than just feeling your feelings. It's so nuanced. And a lot of it depends on what gates you have activated in not only just in your emotional solar plexus, but the ones that either connect with it or, as I'm going to share here today, how when you're with somebody, it connects. And I'm going to be talking about how this is affecting me in my life. And I'm going to share something that happened just today. It's still raw. I don't even know if it's over, but I've been trying to capture more moments in the moment to give more of a less textbook, more realistic view of this is how it's showing up for me. And it may not be that way for you, but here's an insider view. And I sat down to do, or set out to do, these YouTube videos on my human design to give this insider look of to how I'm building my business currently in the thing that I'm building. I'm building something I'm calling it the Inner Studio. And because all of this is reflecting what I'm building. What I'm building is what I wish I had for myself to help me. And thinking about just my journey, where I have been, where I've been 2 years ago, where I was 2 years ago, and where I am now. And so it's funny, this thing came up today, and it's not even about my business. Yet it is, right? Everything is connected. And I see a pattern. I saw a pattern. And it's a pattern that I know could be affecting my business and what I'm creating. And that's why I'm looking at this, and it's why I'm sharing it. And it's going to be about gate 22. So gate 22 is down here in the emotional solar plexus. So this is the emotional solar plexus in gate 22. So it's going to give a flavor to the story. It's not just simply, oh, feel your emotional wave. No, we're going to get a little bit deeper than that, because there's different kinds of waves. And not everybody has the same kind of emotional wave. I have a tribal wave. I tend to shove it down until I explode. But it's even more nuanced than that, because it depends which of these gates you have activated and what they connect to. And so not only for me is this 22 really important for the story that I'm going to be sharing, it is also my purpose. It is in my earth. It is my grounding. And so gate 22 has a significance for me. I like to think of these, the gates here. I love how Richard Rudd calls it. And that's how I like to think about it. The two over here, the two over there, as my genius. So it's your incarnation cross, but I like thinking of it as my genius. This is where, my mad creative scientist lives inside me. So, so the 22 has a fear. And, that's where a lot of some of these deeper emotions are motivated by these deep fears that we have. And this one rings so true to me. So 22, the fear is silence. To not be open, to not share what you really want to. And I'm going to share something that happened today. I'm sharing it with you, first of all. But mostly, I actually said it out loud. And I told somebody. I actually shared it. So let me, I wrote the story, and this is part of my process. It's, I have somatic practices that I do that they're targeted nervous system to get us out of fight or flight that I do. I have some for free. You just comment, I will send it to you. Or you can go to getyourease.com. And so that you can do it in a few minutes, but that's really only the beginning of it. And that's the problem with some programs, is they get you out of the stress of the fight or the flight or the freeze, but they don't help you with the next step. And so part of me is a little bit of journaling. I do a lot of verbal journaling. I do a lot of walking as well. And I even have conversations with ChatGPT on it sometimes. And I look to my human design. I'm like, oh, I see this. Where can I find it? And that sparks new things for me. And you know what? I don't even know if I said who I am. Hi, I'm Trisha Edwards, and I am a 6-2 generator with emotional authority. And, I've really been focusing on this emotional authority and what it means for the emotions. It's an important piece of my design, but it was something that was important to me long before I even heard the words human design. So it's something that I had disconnected with myself for years. And in the past 10 years, it's been my mission to reconnect myself with myself. And I mean that from like an inside point of view. So here we go. I'm going to start my story. The Gate of Grace, a story in progress, a spoken story about the gate 22-2, because I'm a 6-2. So the 2 line is on my unconscious side as well. So not only do I have the gate 22, it has a 2-line quality. And a 2-line is somebody who is kind of like half introvert, half extrovert. And we hermit, and then we come out when we have something to say. And so that's why that fear is not saying what we really want to say. It's coming out of your cave and be like, I really have something to say, but then not saying it. And that's what I've done with my emotions. It's right there in Emotion Center. It's what I did for years. I didn't really say because I was, for whatever reason, I was afraid. And it kind of doesn't matter what the reasons are. It's just about how do I move now? And so this is emotional elegance in my purpose. There are no moments that don't come in with family. This is one thing you're going to know about me. Sometimes I stumble over the words. So I'm going to read that line again. There are moments that don't come in with fanfare. No spotlight, no theme music, no clear reason. Just a quiet pressing into the chest, like a stone that's always been there just beneath the ribs. I didn't know it had a name. I just knew I felt it heavy. And I just knew I felt heavy and quiet and undone. My husband asked me, what was wrong? He carries gate 36 in the emotional center, and his emotional center is undefined. And he feels me in ways that don't always require words. Now I carry gate 35. It's in the throat or communication. And together, we form a defined emotional channel only when we're near each other, a channel of experience, turbulence, and truth-telling. That day, meaning it was this morning, we became the channel, and something opened. So I want to share with you what that channel is so you can see it. It's this one right here. Here's the 36. He has this. I have the 35. When we're together, we complete this channel. We become one. And it's collective. And it's about sharing. It is a journey of gathering wisdom through experience. And to be, it's not about wisdom just for collecting it or trying to get to the end. It's about the process is the point. The experience is the point. The end goal doesn't really matter. So it's a pretty cool gate. And I've always sensed this. He is the one I've always been able to talk about my feelings to be able to express them better. He helps me connect because I'm actually split right here. There's a split. He helps me to connect communication with emotion. And I help him to connect his emotions to his communication. And we work out pretty well together there. So if we go back over to our story, it wasn't one thing I could point to, not a single incident or slight or a trigger. It was the storm of grief and guilt, beauty and ache. I was watching someone I loved deeply step into something that felt eerily close to a dream I had long buried. I wanted to celebrate her, and I did celebrate her. And yet inside me, a familiar ache stirred. It reminded me of other losses, of the miscarriage, of the years of uncertainty, of becoming a mother to a child who will never experience childhood the way others do. It reminded me of the quiet grieving I've done for things I've never truly had. of what I thought I was promised, of what I thought I was supposed to receive. And at that moment, I didn't rise above it. I let it have me, and I fell inward. And some of these things I got some fantastic news about somebody I care so dearly about. It's amazing news. And in my celebration, I know simultaneously I was mourning something I thought I had lost. It was never mine, at least not in that way. Maybe it's mine. Maybe it's mine in the future. Maybe it's mine in another parallel universe that those exists or whatever. But no one took it from me. It's one of those things that I wanted and I felt belonged to me, but I didn't have it. I didn't have it at that point anyway. And my son is nonverbal and has some developmental motor challenges. And so his life is different than how I grew up, how my nieces and nephews are growing up, and other people that I see that are similar in age to him. His life will be different. And while I often mourn, maybe often's not the right word, but I mourn what we claim those typical rites of passage are, as we grow from age to age. He will not experience some of them, but yet we have different experiences that other people won't. And it's just different. There's no one better or not, but I still mourn them. I still grieve them. And that's really what that's about. And when I came to what I thought I was promised, we all get that. You do this, you'll get this. And life doesn't always work out that way. So I grieved. I fell inward. And that was before. Before I knew what was moving through me, before I remembered my design, before I realized the stone in my chest had a name. Gate 22-2, my grounding, my design earth, the place where my body meets purpose. Gate 22 is the gate of graciousness, but not performative poise, not rehearsed elegance. It's emotional honesty refined through experience. And line 2, it brings a natural, sometimes reluctant, softness. A need to retreat, to process, to let the wave pass before the words come. This part of me doesn't perform. It doesn't force wisdom. It waits until I feel safe enough to be heard. And when I realized this wave was not a breakdown, but a refinement, I breathe. I saw it clearly for the first time. This wasn't an interruption in my path. It was my path. A living moment of my emotional authority doing exactly what it's designed to do. A wave, a deep feel, a pause, a clearing for clarity. When I bring this awareness to my body, something changes. I stop making my emotions the problem. I stop trying to solve the wave. I stop blaming myself for not being further along. And I start listening. I start receiving my own tone, my own aura, my own knowing. Gate 22 doesn't ask me to speak for others. It asks me to speak when trust rings through my body. And on that day, this morning, my truth rang loud. And that's one of the things that I remember when my husband asked me. He said, see, he has an undefined emotional solar plexus. And so he senses me. He's a receiver, and I'm a broadcaster because I'm defined. So he received my broadcast and he asked me what's wrong. I said, I'm okay. And he, of course, could see right through that. And he's like, I know something's bothering you. Just tell me what it is. It was so tender and so beautiful. This is how our relationship has been evolving since learning about human design, each of our designs, and how we work together and how we harmonize. We're able to do more things on purpose that we were already doing naturally. And then the things that kind of didn't make sense when we were doing them and they didn't quite work out well, we kind of understand now. And it's given us a language, a common language that we can share in our communication. And when he asked me what's wrong, I told him. And I avoided the fear, this fear of not sharing what you really want to, but I shared it. I did. I shared it. So it was a very cool moment when you're in it. It's like, oh my gosh, that's that fear. I saw all of this coming together afterwards. Now, so after our conversation, I had a wonderful cry. It was a full body, full of emotion. I don't even know if I could describe all the emotions that were in there. It was like an implosion. It's how I often describe it. And I was able to sit with it and write it. And then it kind of settled. And then I felt exhausted afterwards. And then later on in the day, I wrote this. And now I'm reading it. And all of this is so therapeutic for me. And I don't know if it gives insight to you, or if this is just entertainment or interesting or whatever it is. Here I am expressing it out, because expressing outwardly is such a healer, no matter how you choose to do that. So the after, well, I don't know if I'm there yet, but I do know this. There's a new rhythm in me now, a deeper reverence for the fog before the clarity, the softness in how I hold myself, and when the wave returns. And a promise not to rush the grace, not to bypass the ache, not to mute my soul because the world prefers a cleaner version. In the past, that's what I would have done. I would have waited a couple of days and then I would have wrote about this, and it would have had more of, look how awesome I am. Look how I moved through this. This is what you can have on the other side. But today, I really wanted to embrace the messy crappiness of everything, because the clean version is easy. It's easy to talk about it. There's less pressure around it. And I'm really going back to this gate. This silence, the fear to be open, not sharing what you really want to. And this is what I really want to share. That you can survive this. This is easy. You can do this. Maybe it's not easy, but you can do this. I can do this. And so gate 22.2 is not about looking perfect. It's about letting your emotions refine you until your tone tells the story for you. And today, this is the tone I carry. Still becoming, still softening, and still listening. And here I am. This is me. And what I also think is like a pretty cool thing is this gate 22 right here in our emotional center. This channel is an individual knowing channel. It's empowerment. Just by sharing what I really want to, saying what I really feel called to express. This came to me, and is it mine to respond to? And absolutely. Is it mine to express? Absolutely. And so here I am. This is what I'm doing. And I'm using the power of my communication that got connected with my husband from my emotion.